Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. I'll never understand people who are rude or uncompromising when it comes to people with disabilities or staff with less glamorous jobs. You can't be out here demanding your room gets cleaned while demeaning people who are doing you the service of cleaning it. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled mom thinks her child is more important than our disabled guests. Let me start off by saying I'm a guy who works in motel cleaning. Not the most flashy job, but it pays what bills I've got. I look very young, so often guests do feel as though they have the right to talk down to me. Add on to that I'm cleaning staff and I get little to no respect from a couple of guests. The majority we have are lovely, smile, and say good morning as we go our ways. But sometimes we have an absolute nutcase. So we had a couple book out most of our rooms. We're only 20 rooms, so it's not like an insane thing, and it was for a wedding. They were staying for 2 nights, meaning we had to service 15 rooms on one day. Super easy. I was going to get in there, work for a couple hours, get out. Or so I thought. I heard from my boss that the lady in room 003 was a complainer. We get them a lot, so it didn't stand out to me. He told me to pay extra attention to her room and make sure it was spotless. Since her room was on the bottom floor, she was left until last. Often we go from the top floor to the bottom. It's just our routine. The lady from room 03 came back early with her son and stomped herself up to the second room, demanding we clean her room right this second. We tried to explain that we couldn't do that. We'll get to her room once we're downstairs. Gave her a rough estimate of when that would be, and we thought that'd be it. That's when she saw another room we were servicing. Room 007 was the room of a lovely mother and son. In our motel, we have 2 accessible rooms. The main difference is the bathroom. Instead of having a shower, it's one of those open floor bathrooms, and we have a shower seat installed for our guests to use as long as accessible toilets with railings all over the walls. These rooms aren't strictly for our disabled guests, but if we have someone with that requirement, they're obviously put above anybody else. Entitled mom saw this room and was shocked. She decided it was completely okay for her to enter someone else's room to take a look around. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't have it. Instead, she went on a rampage. Why does my room not have a seat? My son should get one. He doesn't like having showers. His legs get tired and he's too little. For context, her son was maybe 7 at the youngest. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am. Only our accessible rooms have seats. Unfortunately, both rooms are booked right now, so we can't do that for you. Could you please go back into the hallway? Someone else has booked this room. But my son needs one too. At this point, I'm confused, and I'm horrified we've made a mistake and forced a poor little boy who needed an accessible room to do without. Me. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Does your son have any medical conditions? If you go tell the front desk about it, I'm sure we'll be able to figure something out for him. Any what? How dare you accuse my son like that? He's just fine. He just needs a little extra, and therefore that's what you will give him. Me. I'm really sorry. If your son doesn't have any medical requirement, we can't prioritize him over the current guests of this room. Well, how badly could these people need it? My son's only little. You need to give them everything while they're young. I don't care who's in this room, I need it. Me. Ma'am, I'm very sorry. The boy in this room's in a wheelchair. We can't put him into a different room. And there's an older couple staying in our only other accessible room who need that support. Support? You think my son doesn't need support? This is unbelievable. I'll be speaking to your manager about this horrendous treatment you've given me and my son. Who needs this room, I might add. Finally, she left the room. But oh boy, did I hear the screaming from down at the front desk. I guess my boss had informed the couple who'd booked all the rooms because about a half hour later, when I was finally servicing EM's room because they were running around finding all the staff to apologize to us, they were humiliated and furious with EM. For the last night/morning of their trip, we did not see EM or her child at all. Remember when the previous generation was mentally stable? Yeah, me neither. And our second story. Ma'am, I don't answer to the Lord. Background. I manage an office with 9 staff in a large company. We're a very specialized office and are very much the backbone of each of our work locations and often have all the answers you would need as relating to what our company handles or does. If not, we know where to send you. One of my staff, we'll call her Sally, had taken a call. This is pretty ordinary for her as her duties require a lot of interaction with the other companies that we work with, so I didn't think anything about it. Sally also happens to be our bilingual staff member who speaks enough Spanish to effectively translate for our office, so generally, whenever our operator gets a call in Spanish, Sally is the one who usually gets the call to handle. About an hour ago, Sally jumps and hollers into my office with a mix of humor and disgust on her face. Sally: "OP, this lady's insane. She's off her rocker and she wouldn't shut up." Me: "Oh? What are you talking about, Sally?" Sally: "She kept on and on about how we needed to insert request here for her because Jesus told her to." Me: "Oh no." Sally: "Yes, and she told me that if we did this, we'd receive the Lord's blessing, and she just kept on going on and on about how Jesus was calling her. She wouldn't leave me alone." Me: "Wow, that's pretty dang funny. But next time you get a loon on the phone, you can always transfer it to me and I'll take care of them." Sally: "But I couldn't, because she was speaking Spanish." Me: "Well, this is how you handle it next time." Sally, thinking about the call: "You know what? She must speak English. She was mixing the two pretty frequently and even making up words in Spanish. Plus, she had me on the phone for over 15 minutes. Me: "Well, next time she calls, just send it to me and I'll deal with her." Cue 15 to 20 minutes of inter-office joking about crazy people calling and things we wish we could say. Sally's phone rings again. Sally: "Thank you for calling Herp Derp and Lerp Incorporated. This is Sal..." Looks at caller ID and recognizes crazy god lady's number. "OP, it's for you. It's her again." Me: "Thank you for calling Herp Derp and Lerp Incorporated. This is Big Mac is BP. How may I assist you today?" CGL: "Se habla español?" Me: "No se habla." Note, I know enough Spanish to read it and can pick up enough in conversation to get the idea of what's being said, and I can definitely recognize the difference between gibberish and Spanish, but I'm not fluent enough to translate for my job. CGL: "Oh, I need to speak with someone who speaks Spanish. I need speak super. I need speak boss." Me: "Well, ma'am, I do not presently have a staff member who speaks Spanish who can assist you, but I'm the supervisor and will gladly help you to the best of my ability." CGL: "Nope, there was a lady who was talking in Spanish." Me: "Yes, ma'am, that's Sally. She's busy right now, but I'm her supervisor and I'll help you in any way I can." CGL: "Oh, you boss." Me: "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?" CGL: "Well, you need to do insert same request from previous call right away because of reason XYZ. Me: "No, ma'am, that's not how it works. What you're requesting will only happen when ABC occurs, or it definitely happens. Not before. My staff and I are not here to discuss reasons XYZ with you, nor will we." CGL: "No, you don't understand." Random angry Spanish gibberish. "I got a call yesterday from God, and he told me that I must call you and tell you that you must do request." Me: "Ma'am, my staff and I are not here to discuss God with you either. I can tell you the facts, but I will not discuss XYZ or God with you. Now, if you want to talk about..." CGL: "But the Lord God called me, and I am a woman of the Lord," and more angry Spanish gibberish. "And if you do this, you will receive the Lord's blessings." Me: "Again, ma'am, I will not discuss the Lord with you. I will only discuss..." CGL: "You must!" Much more angry Spanish mixed with real Spanish gibberish. "Accept his blessings." Me, stern voice: "Ma'am, this is what the facts are. This is how everything is going to occur. And unless death happens, request will not happen until ABC." CGL practically screaming at me now: "No, you must do this. You must accept the Lord God's blessings. You must serve the Lord." Me: "No, ma'am, I don't. I don't answer to the Lord. I answer to my shareholders and my boss. If you have any actual questions relating to what we can do for you, then..." CGL: "If you don't accept the Lord's blessings, you are cursed. You'll be cursed. You must do it, I say, because God told me that you must. And I am on a mission from God." Me: "Bye-bye." Hangs up phone. I called around to a few other offices to warn them about her and just told them to send her back to me or another supervisor so another line staff member didn't have to deal with her special flavor of psycho. Come to find out, she called our site director's office 3 times, and the site director's secretary hung up on her all 3 times. And our last story. No, I won't remove the tree from my property. I live in my late grandparents' home. I've spent the last few years modernizing it and making it fit my style, and there's one thing I've not touched, and that's the apple tree in the back garden. My grandparents planted it on the day they moved into the house, and it came from my grandfather's family orchard as a sapling, a way of bringing a bit of his family with him. I love the tree, and some of my favorite memories as a child are picking fruit from it or climbing it when I was little. New neighbors recently moved in next door, and they keep complaining about the tree, wanting to cut it down as it's casting shade into their garden where they wanted to put a hot tub. None of the tree overhangs onto their property at all. It just sadly cuts off light in that one specific area. I've apologized, but told them they won't be cutting it down and suggested that they put their hot tub somewhere else in the garden as it's a big space. I'd even planned to try and smooth things over when it grows fruit this year by bringing them a bag of fresh apples. They're pissed off at me and complaining about how it's just a tree and it's not a big deal to cut it down. The husband's also been threatening to get lawyers involved to force me to cut it down. I'll admit that pissed me off and killed any goodwill I had towards them or desire to smooth things over. I've told them to do whatever the F they want, but warned them I've got a camera in my back garden, so if they mess with my tree, I'll know. I set this up a few years ago due to local kids stealing all the apples. I don't mind giving apples away to people as it grows plenty, but I have an issue with people helping themselves. I know it's just a tree and it's perhaps silly to be so enraged by their demands and threats, but it has sentimental value to me. Is it really that unreasonable for me not to care that it casts some shade onto their garden? Edit. I've also explained the sentimental value this tree has, but they don't care. Can't see what the big deal is about the tree. Get rid of the old fruit tree that's also a family heirloom of sorts so that we can build a hot tub? Jeez. You can't buy class. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.